Sometimes we probably all have been in the ditch and tossed to the side of the road. Other times, we may be the robbers. But what do we see? What do we spend our time on? Jesus was raised a Jew. He grew up in a culture knowing that Jews and Samaritans hated each other. Probably very similar situations in our world today. That depth of hatred and that revulsion. And yet today he calls the Samaritan good. A shock. Imagine who we would call good. Who would we call a sinner? Whose life would be repulsive to us? What does Scripture say? Samaritans are outside the law, period. Nothing to discuss. What does religion say? Samaritans are no good. They're sinners, period. Don't talk to me about it. The leaders, the religious leaders, say to Jesus, you better go back to school and study the Bible. But Jesus says there is a difference between religious law and living mercy. Righteousness, which we all seek. Righteousness means living life as God intended it to be lived. And that means living mercy day by day. Pope Francis says God's name is mercy. So it reminds us that what is fundamental is a change of heart, not merely just a change of mind. The priest and the Levite, they pass by. But what needs to be done is not to walk past the other, but we need to look past the veneer of our own lives and sometimes the veneer of others. And we need to be able to see as God sees. Because each of us, as I've said over and over again, each of us is God's beloved son or daughter. Period. So what kind of people do we want to be? The Samaritan knew what it was like to be beaten up, hated, to be untouchable, cut off from the community. Very similar to the Samaritan woman at the well. You remember her? But those boundaries change when we see ourselves in need. Or we become the vulnerable ones. We can try to avoid the road to Jericho, but the reality is we are on it every day. So who is my neighbor? My neighbor is a mother of 12 children in the city of Canton. My neighbor is the abused wife or child living in a wealthy, gated community. My neighbor is a refugee or an unemployed man or woman. Each vulnerable. My neighbor is even the one in the Stark County Jail. Each one on the road to Jericho. So we pray as a community and as a world for a change of heart. A change of heart right in here, in each of us. We need to see with a heart of love and a heart of mercy. There is no other way to be on God's side. So we can ask, as Martin Luther King Jr. did many years ago, when he was going down to Memphis to help the sanitation workers. He asked, if I stop and I help this person, what will happen to me? Then he thought, or I should ask the question, if I don't stop and help this person, what will happen to them? So the outcome of the parable in our own lives is up to us.